Hello everyone, it's Joe here from Draft FPL and welcome back to a weekly series helping you find some good value free agents and waiver pickups in Draft FPL. On to game week 4, last game week before the first international break. It's also the penultimate waivers before the end of the transfer window, so we'll have a look at those as well. As always, if you enjoy the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out my video from yesterday if you're thinking about offering out some trades and you want to have a think about some underperforming assets, which we covered then. Let's get into the picks. Starting off with defenders as always, and Joel Ward is my first pick this week, available in 86% of draft leagues. Palace are probably the most, well, in fact, Palace are definitely the most underrated defence in the league. Since Hodgson took over, they're like second or third overall in the defensive rankings in terms of XG conceded. They are a really solid defence, and when they've got a good fixture I always look to them straight away. Wolves at home, it does not get much better than that. They've got Fulham at home in game week 6, which is another good fixture as well. And to be honest, I think just having one of these Palace defenders sat in your squad all year long is a very worthwhile investment. You can just bring them out whenever they've got a good home fixture. And I think Joel Ward's a little bit undervalued because people seem to think that he might not be nailed. They're looking at the likes of Nathaniel Klein, but realistically, Joel Ward is going to be playing week in, week out unless he has an injury or a suspension for Palace. Roy trusts him, and Roy doesn't really rotate unless he has to, so I see no reason for Joel Ward not to be in that right back slot for these really good fixtures. And there aren't that many clean sheets about this week, so if you can pick up a good chance at one, I think it's a no-brainer. Next up, we've got Emerson, available in 89% of leagues, but to be honest, this could be any of the West Ham back four: Emerson, Kufal, Zuma or Aguerd. As I said, there aren't many clean shouts this week, but Luton have not looked up to the quality of the Premier League so far. I do think, I do back the West Ham defence in this. They are a solid defence, and Luton don't look on it. But I will say, I do think that Luton are gonna surprise some people at Kenilworth Road. If you don't know, just Google the stadium, Kenilworth Road, and have a look. It is one of the most intimidating places to play in the country, and there will definitely be teams that do not want to go there, and there will be some shocks, I think, despite the fact that Luton don't quite have the quality of the rest of the league. But despite that, obviously the percentage play is picking up a West Ham defender this week. As I said, you could have gone for any of the back four, but Emerson I think probably has the most attacking threat. It depends whether you want to go for the aerial threat of one of the centre backs or sort of the open play threat of one of the full-backs, which isn't massive, to be honest. They don't advance that much, but Luton should be okay from set pieces, so I'd rather go for the open play threat in this one. Looking further ahead in the fixtures outside of this game week, they've then got back-to-back really tough ones: City at home, Liverpool away. So if you've got a deep squad, you could bench for those two, or you could drop and bring them back in for that great fixture in game week 7 of Sheffield United at home. Next up, I know this is the third week in a row, but I promise you this is the last week I'm going to tip him, because surely he still won't be available in 78% of draft leagues. Aaron Hickey. Bournemouth at home in game week 4, Everton at home in game week 6, Forest away in game week 7. 3 great clean sheet opportunities. He's attacking. I don't understand how he's still so lowly owned. It doesn't make sense. He's just attacking as Rico Henry on the other side, who is owned in like 95% of leagues. It really doesn't make any sense to me. But here we are. I'm not going to tip him again, so this is your chance. Next up, if you do have space in your squad, it might be a good time to pick up Moreno if he's free in your league. Available in 57% of leagues, so just over half. You obviously don't want to play him this week, game week 4. I don't think he's going to be back this week for game week 4, but it's Liverpool away anyway, so it doesn't really matter because you would have benched either way. But then it's the international break, then game week 5 he may well be back for, which is Palace at home. I think if you wait until those waivers, you'll probably know he's going to be fit, and so will the rest of your league, and you're going to be scrapping for him. So if he is free, I think now is probably the time to go. I think he will get straight back into the side, although Luca Dean's had a decent start. I think Moreno's just a cut above, to be honest, so I do think he will get back into the side when he is fit. That game week 5 fixture does look really nice, but then they do have a couple of rough ones after that. On to midfielders then, and Mohamed Kudus is the first one here, signed for West Ham for a decent amount of money, and I think hopefully this is the winger that we finally see do well for West Ham other than Bowen. Ben Rama has basically been doing my head in, basically since Moyes took over, because he has these fantastic performances and then he gets hooked after 45 minutes and then he's benched and then he plays great but he still gets hooked, and it just doesn't make any sense to me. Spoiler alert, he is coming up in this video as well. I don't think Kudus is going to be available to play in this Luton game, so then they do have two pretty rough fixtures after that, but I don't think it matters too much because West Ham are probably the most counter-attacking team in the league. They sit really deep and then just try and hit with balls on the break. They did it to Brighton so effectively last game week. So I could see them actually having a little bit of joy against City, and especially against Liverpool, hitting them on the break when they've overcommitted, and Kudus is perfect for that. So I do think he's a good fit. I think he's a good pick, and I would suspect that most people will have him top of the waivers this week. Just a quick note on the other kind of big signing that's come in for these waivers, and that's Doku for City. I'm personally not interested. I'm not going there. I think he's just going to be too rotation prone. I don't think he's going to get that many starts. I'm not going there. I'm not interested. It's one of those that I think is great because it means people higher up in the waiver priority are probably going to prioritise him instead of someone that I actually want. But yeah, not someone that I'm going for. Next up, Anthony Gordon, available in 56% of leagues. I could not believe this was right. I double checked it like 3 times because I couldn't believe he's available in 56% of draft leagues after starting the first 3 games for Newcastle and probably be in their best attacker, maybe second best attacker behind Isaac, I'd say. He's been really, really effective. And I know he is, Barnes is there and ready to come on for him, and he does get subbed at 60, 65, 70 minutes every week, which is annoying. But even when Eddie eventually brings Barnes into the team, I think Gordon probably just goes over to the other side and takes Almer on spot. That really wouldn't surprise me at all. But I think for someone that is playing for a Champions League team, started the first 3 games, playing on the wing, scored a goal last game week, available in 56% of leagues, just doesn't make any sense to me. Brighton away this week, I think, is probably going to be a bit of a goal fest. I just think Brighton's defence is quite poor. They're going to be going all guns blazing, and that kind of suits Newcastle because they can counter press, and as soon as they win that ball back, they're going to be flying forward. So I think this suits Anthony Gordon perfectly. The fixtures after that turn for Newcastle, and from game week 5 onwards, they get really good. Brentford at home, Sheffield United away, Burnley at home in 5, 6 and 7, and they do have an extended run after that that are really good. Maybe Barnes takes Gordon's spot at some point and he's on the bench, but that time is not now, so I think he's just a great time to pick him up. Next up, we have Zaniolo of Villa, another one that you probably want to bench this week if you're looking at your team and think, I've got 4 good mids, I've got 3 good forwards, I don't need to pick anyone up on the waivers for this week specifically. Zaniolo could be the perfect one for you. Available in 88% of leagues. I thought he had a pretty good cameo when he came on against Burnley. He did have that one really good chance that he kind of made a mess of, but I'd rather players get big chances and make a mess of them than not get any chances at all. So that is kind of a promising sign for me. He looked quite selfish. There was a one where he could have squared it to Watkins and he decided to shoot instead. For fantasy, that can be quite a good thing, to be honest. So I'm not too worried about that. But yeah, you can bench him in game week 4. If he starts, great. That means he's probably going to be starting going forward. If he doesn't, then you can hold him for Palace at home and hopefully he starts in that one. I do think eventually he is going to be starting in that kind of hybrid right mid, centre mid, attacking mid kind of role that Emery likes to often deploy the likes of Bailey or John McGinn. The fixtures for Villa are pretty rough, but I think from an attacking point of view, they're not that bad really. Chelsea away isn't a particularly scary fixture. Brighton at home for an attacker is not that bad either. So I think after this game week 4 fixture, you'd definitely be fancying to start him every week. Finally then, on midfielders, as I mentioned earlier, Ben Rama, available in 53% of leagues. and he only played 52 minutes last week, but he still managed to get an assist, and he played really well. I think this is just someone that if you want to jump on this Luton away fixture for game week 4, Ben Rama's probably the only way to do it safely, because he is the most likely to start. And, you know, it might have been that because West Ham, I think, were 2-0 up when he got subbed off. You know, they were in control. Well, they weren't in control of the game at that point, but they were in control of the scoreline. So David Moyes probably took him off for someone with a bit more defensive work rate. But you've got to think Luton away, they're going to start, you know, with an attacking lineup. Ben Rama's surely going to get the start, and he could have a really positive impact on this game. Ben Rama's the type of player that the defenders of Luton will not want to play against. You know, tricky wingers, it's not ideal for some of the big burly centre-backs that they've got. As I said, I was quite surprised that, you know, he's quite widely available, to be honest, because he does have a decent history of goals and assists, and he is someone that, you know, over the past has come in and out of my team quite a lot, and I think for the good fixtures, he's definitely worth having. Finally then, just the one forward this week, and it is Adebayo of Luton. You know, Luton, everyone's been slandering them, saying they're going to finish rock bottom, they're not going to get any wins all season. I think people are seriously underestimating how big of a factor playing at Kenilworth Road is going to be for Luton. They haven't had a home game yet. They've gone away to Brighton, which is a really tough fixture, and they've gone away at Stamford Bridge. We don't know how this team are going to perform against the sort of similar teams around them in the league, especially at home, and we've got a chance to see that in game week 4, West Ham at home. Obviously West Ham are likely to finish quite a bit higher than Luton, but at least it's one of the, you know, they're not one of the big boys. It's a chance to see Luton actually compete in a game, and I think they're going to do all right. I don't think they're going to stay up. I think they probably will finish last, but I do think they'll get a few surprise results at home. First game in the Premier League. Also, I still think Adebayo's on penalties. I know that Morris took the one against Brighton in game week 1, and people in the comments before have said Morris is on pens, but I think Adebayo is going to take them when he's on the pitch. He wasn't on the pitch when Morris took the penalty at Brighton. Morris is not a good penalty taker, in my opinion, and Adebayo took a couple last season and scored both of them, I believe. So I've got a feeling he's going to be on pens, but we'll have to wait and see. If he is, then I think he's worth having, to be honest. The only problem is he does often come off around the 65-70 minute mark, but we'll see how he gets on this week at West Ham at home. I'm probably going to pick him up in at least one league, because I've got a dead spot in my front line in the name of Tony Martial. So I'm probably going to pick up Adebayo and see how that goes. And that wraps up my waiver picks for game week 4. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed the video, remember to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. As always, check out the Patreon. The game week cheat sheet went out today, so that has all the data, all the fixtures, the stats, everything you could need for Draft FPL. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time.